Hi there, Jonathan Zor with the Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities, coming with another VCIC Humanitarian Spotlight. Through our Humanitarian Spotlight series, I'm interviewing past Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities Humanitarian Award recipients who are demonstrating important leadership in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, I'm so pleased to be joined by Rabbi Rosalin Mandelberg, a 2012 VCIC Humanitarian Award recipient from our Tidewater Chapter. Rabbi Roz is Senior Rabbi of Ohef Sholom Temple in Norfolk, Virginia. Over the years, she's been incredibly active with the United Jewish Federation of Tidewater, Jewish Family Service of Tidewater, and she is co-chair of Hands United Building Bridges, an interfaith and interracial group that is a 2017 VCIC awardee. I'm wondering if you can start off just giving us a sense as a religious leader, what is it like to support a congregation at a time like this?
Well, Jonathan, what I've learned is the most important thing is to be present for people, to be steadfast and reliable. It's more important for the congregation and the congregants to be able to actually see that I'm there, that our cantor Jen Rubin is there, than anything else, almost than what I say. It's almost like the person is the content. So we have offered our congregants the opportunity to see us and learn with us and pray with us almost every day of the week. So it is very intense because, of course, people are dealing with a myriad of emotions and issues. But it is also very comforting and strengthening and uplifting to be able to come together in community to do all of these things that have sustained our people for thousands of years. Probably the most helpful thing of all is that from the beginning, we have been live streaming Sabbath services. People look forward to those services all week long, as do Cantor and me. And they just really provide a lot of solace. And it's also an opportunity for people to talk to one another, to see each other's faces, to talk to each other in the chat. So we're just fortunate that our tradition allows us these opportunities to be together, and also that, we're here at this time and place to be able to help our community through this unprecedented, scary time.
Absolutely. I've been thinking a lot about the fact that while connectedness and community may have to look different today, that doesn't mean they've gone away. They've just had to shift or adapt. And I think the perspective of history to the present is really important to consider with that. What are some teachings that you're relying on from the Jewish tradition that are helping to guide you and also guide your congregants right now?
Well, it's a wonderful question. As I had mentioned before we started recording, I have been teaching a class called Living in the Time of the Coronavirus, How Judaism Can Help Us Through. Because after 4 or 5 weeks of kind of running without stopping to transfer all of our offerings, whether worship or study or other events and meetings, from in-person to a digital platform, it dawned on me that I hadn't had an opportunity to really process any of the feelings that went along with the virus. And I thought, my goodness, here we have this rich tradition that can really help us deal with fear and uncertainty and how to conduct our lives in business and interpersonal relationships in terms of self-care. Today, how our rituals around illness and death and mourning can inform and strengthen the experiences that or us as we're going through these difficult experiences. And so each time I do rely on Jewish texts and stories, I was thinking about the story of Moses standing at the sea with Pharaoh's army advancing upon him and the children of Israel, and the sea in front of him, and everybody's terrified, and he stops to pray, and God says, "Why are you crying out to me? Go forward." So to me, that teaches us the lesson that, faith is very important. Prayer is very important. They have a huge place in our lives, but so is action and taking care of ourselves and following the instructions that we've been given by the healthcare professionals and the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
I think you might have more folks signing up for your class after seeing this.
Thank you.
I know Tikkun Olam and repairing the world is also a really important part or teaching from the Jewish tradition. Can you speak to some of the ways you would advise folks watching this to lean into that commitment at this time?
Well, absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that question, Jonathan. So we have many congregants who are deeply committed to repairing the world, and they came up with a program called Love Thy Neighbor, and we've been collecting funds and also other resources that people need. But anyway, we've been working with some of the restaurateurs in the congregation, and we've actually provided several meals to some of the frontline workers, like the nursing staff and doctors. And also, the primary collection has been to help provide much needed funds to the Food Bank of Southeast Virginia, as well as the JFS Food Bank and Oasis Social Ministries, all of whom serve the poor and the hungry in our area. And as we know, those numbers have increased exponentially since the time of the advent of the virus. We've also been looking at different environmental issues. We do a lot of environmental work. We have gardens that we've planted with indigenous plants, butterfly way station. We grow herbs and vegetables all along the property. And one of the things that Cantor Jen spoke about in a sermon a few weeks ago was that we've seen that all of this sheltering in place has really had a positive impact on the environment in terms of pollution. And, we want to hold on to those positive developments and see how we can continue to a certain extent, to help minimize the carbon footprint and air pollution, even once we are able to resume some sort of normalcy. It will never be the same, but, some sort of more in-person contact and with others. So, we're really thinking a lot about the earth and just all kinds of things, how to value our relationships more now that we see how important they are and just how vital community is to overcoming something like the coronavirus. You just can't do it alone.
Absolutely. I can't think of a better way to wrap up this humanitarian spotlight. So Rabbi Roz, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your leadership in the community. And I hope you stay safe and well.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I look forward to being with you again in person and at one of the Humanitarian Awards dinners coming up when we're able to gather so that we can honor others who are doing this really sacred work. So thank you for having me.